With Falcon football coach John O'Grady. And John, the Falcons picked up a big 40-27 homecoming win over Alma College on Saturday. A lot of offense in that game. Talk about that game a little bit.
Well, if you hear some of their statistics, you'd be hard-pressed to believe we won the game. I mean, they had 106 plays. It's almost unheard of in the modern-day timing of the college game. 84 pass attempts, 32 incompletions. They were stopping the clock a lot, plus they completed a lot of balls that ended up out of bounds. So the game went on for 3 hours and 8 minutes. They're averaging nowadays about 2 hours and 20. So reminded many people of Stevens Point back in the era when they were throwing the ball a lot. But they had 5 crucial mistakes, 5 turnovers, 2 huge interception returns for touchdowns. The shortest one was 81 yards. So there were some unbelievable numbers in that game. And I think the old philosophy about teams that throw the ball all the time, when they get down to the goal line, gets tough. And one of our picks was down in that area and went all the way. So really exciting game for the fans. I don't know if it was for me. I wasn't comfortable till we knelt down at the last play. But great game, great crowd.
Talk about good numbers, John. Sophomore running back Taylor Edwards was named not only the team's but also the WIAC's Offensive Player of the Week. He carried the ball 30 times for 246 yards, also scored 2 rushing touchdowns. Can you talk about Taylor's play a little bit?
Yep, Taylor, of course, had been hurt against St. John's and sat out the Northwestern game. I think he could have played, but he wasn't 100%. I think he showed Saturday what he's capable of doing. I think on some of our base run plays, he's probably the most adept at doing it. He really knows how to read the blocking scheme and make the right cut. And he does have very good speed, and he's a physical guy too. So not really surprised when we get that kid the ball that many times that he ends up with that kind of production, and I hope it can continue throughout the year.
On the defensive side, sophomore corner Matt Guertin was named the team's Defensive Player of the Week. He led the team with 10 solo. He had 13 total tackles. He had one of those interceptions you had talked about, John. Can you talk about Matt's play?
Matt Guertin is a very consistent player. Only a sophomore, started in the secondary last year when I was coaching over there. Is mature beyond his age, doesn't get shook up by many things, made some great plays last year, had a lot of picks, and he continues to play that way. And that's one area of our defensive scheme, if you talk to Coach Bauer, we really feel comfortable with. We have some guys back there who can do some things in terms of playing man when we need to. And then I think people, if they were at the game, they saw our 2 corners coming up and making good physical hits on receivers when they catch the ball, which we've been lacking a little bit the last few years. So very good game for Matt in the secondary overall.
Special Teams Player of the Week was sophomore Joel Yogerst. He was credited with 2 tackles on punt and kickoff coverage teams. Can you talk about Joel?
Yeah, Joel, it's hard to imagine that, of all the kicking game that you had, that you give this guy this award for, 2 tackles. But, Joel is a guy that on kickoff coverage is becoming a real factor. He's one of those guys who's pretty fearless. He's very physical. And when your unit kickoff team in particular lacks those guys, you really suffer. And of course, one of the tackles he made was something you don't see very often. He got blocked a little bit, and his helmet popped off, pursued the ball, and made the hit. He's a tough physical guy. I wish we had even more like him, but I think a number of young guys will develop.
John, looking ahead, the Falcons open up WIAC play on Saturday, traveling to Stout. What do you know about the Blue Devils?
I believe they're undefeated. Last year they beat us at home, really kind of pounded the ball for 247 yards. One thing I'm excited about, in every game this year we've reduced our opponent's rushing yardage by 50% from a year ago. That was one of our big goals this year. Coach Bauer and Coach Rogers have put in some very good schemes versus running teams. So much of the success for us in this game will depend on how well we stop the run. I think we're in a much better position to do it than we were a year ago.
John, good luck to the Falcons this coming weekend. We'll talk to you next week. And for Falcon Sports, this is Jim Thies.